Why do things move and stop? It is 340 BC. The Greek philosophers are struggling with the fundamental questions of life. One such philosopher is Aristotle, who has a unique idea about motion. He believes every object has a natural place. He looks at a cart. The cart moves when pushed and then stops. Why does the cart stop? Aristotle wonders. He believes it's the nature of the cart to stop. It's a heavy object. That sounds intuitive, but not scientific. 2000 years later, the Italian philosopher Galileo Galilei thinks of motion in a different way. He rolls a ball down an upper ramp. The ball always reaches the same height from which it is released. He changes the inclination of the second plane. The ball travels further but reaches the same height from which it is released. Galileo thinks if the second plane becomes infinitely straight, the ball will continue to move forever. Eureka! Galileo has an interesting idea. But we know that the ball stops after some time. Why? Almost 40 years after Galileo's death, the English physicist Isaac Newton extends Galileo's idea to propose his first law of motion. Newton's first law states, if no external force acts, then an object at rest continues to remain at rest. This means to move an object at rest, you need to apply a force. This sounds intuitive. But we don't see any objects moving forever. Why? That's because the frictional force opposes a moving object, say a ball, and stops it. If we could have a surface without any friction, the ball would continue to move forever. Newton also proposed two more laws of motion. If you hit a ball with a great force, the ball accelerates more. That's the essence of the second law of motion. But when you hit the ball, you also feel a recoil. That's Newton's third law of motion in action. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We can extend the third law of motion to emotions in our life. A kind action reciprocates a kind reaction. That's not a law, but a beautiful philosophy.